Welcome back to another adventure of At the Table with Susan and Lucy. I'm Lucy Colludi, and this is my partner.
Susan Molinari.
There you go. We're the co-chairs of the American Italian Food Coalition, and we represent, in that capacity as spokespeople, 450 companies and manufacturers and trade associations that export great consumer products to the United States, to the American consumers who love Italian food. And so that's why we're here today, to have this wonderful conversation with two of our favorite congresspeople, Congressman Pascrell from New Jersey and Congressman Amodei from Nevada. Welcome.
Thank you.
Susan?
Thank you both for being here. We're thrilled to have you join us today, and this is a first. We thank you for hosting us at your table here at the House
We're
Recording.
honored.
Here at the House
Mark
Recording
and I
Studio.
are honored to have you both
This is a
here.
Thank
big
you.
moment for us here at the American Italian Food Coalition. So thank you for your time and for hosting us. Why don't you kick us off, Lucy?
Yes. Well, to start off with, I guess I'd really like to know, where are your families from in Italy? What can you tell us about that? Congressman Pascrell?
My family, my mother's side, let's say, is from Caserta, and Caserta the Vecchia. And ironically, last time I went to Afghanistan, on the way back, Nancy Pelosi ran the trip, and we stopped in Naples. We're going to go to NATO. And Mike Capuano, my brother from Massachusetts, and I had to convince Nancy that we take a car with a guard and we go visit our ancestors in Avellino and Caserta. She said, no way. She said, no way. She said, you two guys, you keep us late. We're late every time we got to go fly back. He goes, you're always going somewhere. Really?
So how'd that work out?
It worked out. She said no, and we went anyway.
I knew that was going to be the end of the story.
That's a shock.
Yeah, really.
And we were late getting back to fly back to Edwards. So I was honored. But the time before that, and I'm trying to be quick here, the time before that, I went to Rome, and there was a strike. 50,000 people were marching. The unions were striking all over Italy. And we were at a meeting. I come out of the meeting. My wife was able to come with us on that trip. And I'm walking back to the hotel for about a half hour. Then we start our next meeting. And the marches are coming through that part of Rome where we were.
Just like Jersey.
So I'll just, yeah. And my wife says, I'm not sticking around for this. I'm going back to the hotel. And here comes this huge 50,000 people marching through the streets of Rome. And they're the fourth or fifth group with a group from Caserta.
Oh,
So I had just been there
right.
with Mike Capuano. So I figured maybe I'll notice somebody. Sure enough, I did.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
for goodness sakes.
I didn't read the whole sign, though. That was in front of their group. It was the Caserta Communist Party.
I'm sorry.
So I get into the lineup, and I'm on the
Who's in
front page
front
of OG, the newspaper.
Right,
Lucy, I was on the front page with the communists.
Foreign terrorists.
Worst things can happen to you, but not my cup of tea.
Oh, that's so funny.
Well, at least they weren't the fascists from your
Fascista.
hometown. The fascista, right?
No, no.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh!
that's great.
A great story, of course.
So, Congressman Amodei, where are you from?
Well, on my dad's side, northern Italy.
Oh, hence the look.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You're not Italian. Santa Maria Maggiore was my dad's dad, and his grandmother was Agnio, a little bit east of Genoa.
Okay.
My mom was a Longero, and so that's down at the other end where all the folks with the 5 o'clock shadows and stuff like that are from. And so they both married. Those were the men. They both married. My dad's mom and dad were Amodei and Galligan.
Okay.
And my mom's grandparents were Tony Longero and Mary Waters. So
Love
it was the Ireland thing, hence my disguise.
Ah,
There we go.
It's a
got
good
it.
disguise.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's right.
yes,
Yeah.
it is.
That's
Yes,
the
it
old,
is.
the darker it gets, the better I look. You know?
Yeah. And we've talked about this maybe before together, but Susan's people and my people are from Calabria,
Okay.
right? The toe of the boot,
Yes.
right? But it's also true on my mother's side, on my father's mother's side, that they are from Puglia, right across from Naples,
That's
but in
right.
the region of Puglia. So I'm
Heading down our way.
heading down your
Yeah.
way. Exactly right. Good. And so this is great. So now we know we've got someone from the north and the south as well, and someone from the south. Your people are from the south, and your mother's side.
My mom and my father's side, he said we'd have a difficult time tracking down because they were pirates.
Get out.
So I thought I misheard the first time when he told me. I was only 10 years old, 11 years old. He says, yeah, he says, a lot of your relatives are pirates.
Is that true?
And I started to go through books when I was in high school to try to find where they were and how but they're all over the place.
Interesting.
They're all over the place. It led me to have a lot of faith in those trees that they have, your genetic tree.
Yeah, sure.
Oh
And
yeah.
people find out, oh my God, I was 3/4 Greek. I didn't know it.
I
Not me.
found out about some relatives I did not know about.
Oh, really?
Whoopsie.
Me too. Right.
Well, that's
Yeah.
why Mike Capuano calls you the pirate.
That's right.
Ah,
That's so interesting.
Okay.
Oh, you have to dive deeper.
He had a
into
heck
that.
of a nerve to
Dive
call me
deeper.
a pirate, I'll tell you that.
Although at 10 years old, that was probably pretty cool.
Yeah, yes, yes, you're
All
right.
right. So one of the reasons we wanted to have you here is, as I think you know, our group was formed and talks a lot about trade, and particularly trade relations between the United States and Italy, because the relationship between the United States and Italy, we don't talk a lot about it, I think because we take it for granted that Italy has always been there for us in so many ways, particularly in the last several decades. And so I wanted to just talk a little bit to both of you. Congressman, let's start with you this time in terms of, I'd like you to discuss with us and with our viewers why you think trade between the United States and Italy is so important.
Well, you hit on, we kind of take it for granted until some of those tariff issues came up
Right.
in the last administration. And then it's like you found out all over the place, whether it was wine, whether it was other foodstuffs, anything like that. And so you come to realize what an important part of our economy, forget
Yeah.
about the heritage stuff, which is not forgettable, but, and so when you're sitting there talking about small businesses in America,
Right.
it's a big, big deal in terms of that whole cultural trade that goes on there. So, and by the way, it's one of those things where it's not like you're hurting anybody by supporting this import stuff like that. There's not other native Italian
Right.
stuff that's done from, while there are other Italian purveyors, they coexist very nicely. So it's not one of those upside downside things. It's like, listen, this is an incoming tide that raises all boats.
For sure. You think about so many of the restaurants and small businesses that relied on those imports to take care of their neighborhoods. And one of the other things we talk a lot about, which we're hearing more and more about, and of course those of us raised in Italian families knew, the Mediterranean diet and how important that is for heart health, for cancer. I mean, we're just learning so much more about how important the way our parents and grandparents ate, because they couldn't afford to eat any other way, and now it is really sort of the gold standard. So, Congressman, would you like to comment on that?
I couldn't agree more with Mark. Italians are pretty different about trade. They're localized, they're personal. They think that their congressman can pick up a phone and let's change the trade rules.
It's so true.
And I've been called, this is the truth, at least 4 times by wholesalers in my area of North Jersey to come to the docks. Come to the docks. I thought I was a congressman here. What do you want me to do? He says, well, we got a whole load of pepperoncini, and you have to come and get us. They're telling us that we haven't paid, and I did it 3 times.
Did you really? God
Not
bless.
not just for pepperoncini, but a lot of other things.
Like capers.
Capers. I thought my middle
after he
name.
tasted them, then he helped him.
I thought my middle name was Capers at one time.
You are very famous for this.
And I you know, we put capers in everything, and it goes with the food,
For sure.
Absolutely. Yep.
as so
Yeah.
many other add-ons do in Italy. But Italians take their trade personally.
Yeah.
Not a global thing to them.
Right. Right. I think that's very important. I do. I think that's very important.
is.
So thank you both for
Talking
getting that
about
on the record and talking about it. I think we've all experienced that. By the way, before my kids could put together a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, they always fried capers. Of course, I was always there watching them, but my little
My
kids,
point.
my little kids didn't think it was a meal unless there was fried capers.
I expect to find capers in tiramisu someday.
But,
You guys run a strong program.
by the way, as we were talking about trade and food, I'm curious. When I was growing up in New York and Queens, we always said mozzarella. That's how we would describe it, right?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
they don't say it that way in Italy, right? Where did we all pick this up as Italian Americans?
We have our own Italian. When you cross the ocean,
Yeah,
it comes out differently.
that's what it is.
Should be no surprise. And mozzarella, and now the big thing in restaurants is begins with the letter B,
Burrata?
Burrata.
No,
Burrata.
Burrata.
and everybody makes it differently. I love burrata. I
do
can
too.
live on burrata.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't something I ate growing up.
And you know where I
Mediterranean diet.
Yeah.
you know where I found the best burrata
Jersey?
in the cook. No,
Oh.
so I'm surprising you. In the chef at the Democratic Club in Washington. They got a new guy a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. He shaves bacon into it,
Ooh.
among with the oil and the greens.
This
Oh
is a
my
real
God.
Italian,
Have-
huh?
Oh, he's Albanian.
Oh, well, you know what?
Close.
That does
Wannabe.
not surprise me.
Same
A
thing.
lot of Italian
Look at Arthur
restaurants.
Avenue in the Bronx.
Totally.
All the Albanian restaurants.
Very
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
Well,
This-
so before we end that segment, I just want to say, I may be a Republican, but I could go to the Democratic Club and have a little burrata with you.
Why not?
Just for cultural exchange.
Just for cultural
Yeah.
exchange.
And you can too, Mark. You're welcome there anytime.
You've told me as long as I come and go through the back door, I'm always welcome. I appreciate that, William.
I wanted to turn the conversation toward the great culture that Italians bring to the United States, brought to the United States when they came here so many years ago, and as Italian Americans continue this great contribution to America. This is something you both really care about. Because it's illustrated by your being the co-chairs of the Italian American Congressional Caucus, and I'd like to ask you about that. I mean, obviously, as busy as you are, Congressman Amodei, I mean, you've taken an interest in this. This must be a passion for you. This whole idea of what we contribute as Italian Americans to this great nation.
Well, it's something that since I've been back in D.C., I mean, I was always proud, but fairness, the East Coast Italian culture, not that they don't have one in San Francisco and where there's a very nice deli named after you.
Unfortunately, no relation.
I know, you keep making that. It's like, I wish you'd change your mind on that. But anyhow, to be basically immersed in that, and then I'll tell you something that made a big impression on me that sounds simple. I had met Bill Pascrell working on some legislation. Didn't know him as in the context of the Italian American, conference at all. And then when Pat Tiberi left, Tiberi calls me into his office because he was Bill's co-chair, and he says, "Hey, we need somebody to be the Italian American co-chair on the R side, and I'd like you to do it." And I'm, typical. I'm like, no. And he goes, "Okay, that's the nice part. Now here's the reality." He says, "Pascrell says you're the only guy he'll work with."
Oh.
And I go, so he mentioned Pascrell's name, and of course I'm afraid now.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. That's not the punchline. The punchline is I'm walking down a hall in Longworth by the elevators in the basement down there, and here comes Bill Pascrell the other way. And Bill had helped me with some stuff on the other side of the aisle, but not. And he looks up at me and he says, "Hi, cousin." And I'm like,
There you go.
it sounds dumb, but it's like I'm going, cool. I've never had another like pirate Italian guy refer to me as cousin.
Yeah.
I'm all in. You know,
That's great.
a little honey gets you, and I'm like, whatever that guy needs, I got his back.
I love that.
And then afterwards, you get immersed into it, and it's like, it's a phenomenally prideful thing.
Yeah.
Everybody's, but it's like, there's no back seat for the heritage of Italian Americans and coming to this country and what they've done and all that other sort of stuff. So it's like, I mean, I'll never match the pirate, but it's a neat, prideful thing.
It is, and isn't it interesting? This isn't where we were supposed to go, but it does. How many Italian Americans have risen in politics, whether it's governors, you know, or here in the
Never
United States
president,
Congress,
though.
never president, but there's.
I
You're
thought
right.
Cuomo was going to make it, but I guess his father played cards too much or something, you know, something ridiculous.
But
like
okay,
that.
short of that,
Sure.
we're pretty much all over and taking some leadership positions, even in areas where there's not a heavy Italian American
Absolutely.
population. And I think when you think about, well, so many people came over, so many ethnic groups came over with discrimination when they first got here, but the Italians shared in that too. And to think now that we're such leaders all around the country is something we should be very proud of.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
I'm proud to work with Mark. I'll tell you that right now. I only have good things to say about him. And he's been a great addition.
Yeah.
And he'll be the first to admit that I had to fill big shoes with Pat Tebow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pat Tebow is like a brother to me, even though he was on the other side of the aisle.
Sure.
And we didn't agree on too much.
Mm-hmm.
But Pat
You know what?
Tebow is an American story.
Yeah.
His mother passed, and then his father's such a great guy. He's still living. Daughters, I mean, Pat Tebow missed here. He didn't leave because he didn't like the place. He left for other reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But he was a great loss. And I didn't know what the heck he was getting out for back in 2016. I didn't know. He says, "Bill, you don't know what's coming."
wow.
He did.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Pat Tebow is coming here next week. Next week he's going to visit
So
here.
you'll get to see him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
But that's a great thing about you, Congressman, is that you really do feel very comfortable working across the aisle, working with some great
Yeah,
Republicans.
as vociferous as I am,
Yes.
some people say he's a yellow Democrat. No, I enjoy working with you. Most of my bills are bipartisan.
Yeah.
So what I,
Mhm.
you know, because of my nature, you know,
Right.
that's
Well-
you are who you are. Because
And-
of my nature, don't exclude me from reaching out.
Mm-hmm. It's how
Because I
things
do.
get done.
I've reached out all my life.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to change because I'm here.
Well, I do want to say that is admirable, and I was thinking about that through this whole conversation, that when we can find other ways to describe us as tribes other than Republican and Democrat, and can come together based on your state, your committee, or your ethnic heritage, you know, the things that bring you back to the way that you were raised, those
Well,
special
Italians
moments.
are like that. Italians are like that. We're the last ones to have left the great cities of America.
True.
I stayed in mine.
Yeah.
Because when I was elected to the Congress, the day after, I was still Mayor of Patterson at the time. Between the time you're going to be sworn in, people came to my house one day when I came home from the city hall. They were standing on the porch. They got flowers and fruit.
Oh,
We don't want you to forget us.
that's so
Oh,
sweet.
I said,
Flowers and
What are
fruit.
you throwing me out of my house?
Yeah.
I'm staying here,
That's so lovely. That's so lovely. Yep.
and I'm still there.
Well, okay, going to Italian heritage, because we're a food coalition. I can't end an interview without asking this question. Is there a favorite Italian food you like to eat, cook, see on a menu.
Whether you call it sugo or gravy, bolognese,
Yeah.
whatever, any
That's
of
it.
that over whatever your pasta or meat of the choice is like
Is yours.
just want to rub it on your face,
So,
Yes.
so you prefer the more middle and southern Italian cooking than the northern?
Yeah. I'd like to beat around the bush, but the answer is yes.
There's
Just for the record.
Yeah.
There's nothing like a good tomato sauce.
Totally.
Right, Congressman?
How about you? What's your
My
favorite?
favorite's artichokes.
Oh.
And
Stuffed
I have a
stuffed
second.
artichokes?
I have a close tie, a close race here. Artichokes, and I love tripe.
Oh.
What a good sauce!
With
Yeah,
a good
the sauce.
sauce.
The sauce makes it.
Absolutely.
What a good,
Yes. Yeah.
People can't go near tripe. I know Italians that will not go near it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to eat that.
I have
Yeah.
nothing to
You
add
know
to
what
this
tripe-
conversation.
It's all
You
in
know
the
what
sauce.
tripe? You know what tripe is,
I
right?
do know what tripe
Guts.
is. Oh, the stuff my grandmother used to eat, right? Because they were
How
raised that
could
like you left
said
nothing.
To your grandmother,
You
How
left
can you eat
nothing.
You left
Right.
nothing. Body parts of animals that, but
Yeah.
that's how they were raised, right?
Yeah, they actually taste good.
Yeah,
As long as it's fried and good sauce, bring it on.
And I like artichokes, a lot of garlic.
Mm.
And I love stuffed artichokes.
Stuffed artichokes.
Oh, that's what I cook. You
I-
can't have Thanksgiving without stuffed artichokes.
Absolutely.
What do you stuff 'em with?
An artichoke, and a
breadcrumbs,
glass
sometimes
of red.
mushrooms,
Breadcrumbs.
Sometimes people put a little sausage in it. Yeah.
Right. What do
Yeah.
you put in the stuffed? What do you put in the stuffed artichokes?
Besides breadcrumbs,
Yeah.
raisins.
Oh.
I've had all different kinds of things. It's like stuffing a turkey.
Exactly.
You know?
Tripe, whatever's handy.
All right.
I didn't
It's still
do it
before
right.
breakfast here, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, it's been an honor to speak to both of you today. I could do this for the rest of the day. It is glorious to revel in our heritage, but sometimes when we think so negatively about the future of politics, it's been a great half hour to spend with the two of you, making me feel a little bit more encouraged by what the future can bring if more people can talk the way you two did today. So thank you for giving us this gift.
God bless you.
Yes.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lucy.
Yes.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank
And-
you.
And
We're
before
honored.
Oh,
We're
Yeah,
honored.
honors
you're
ours.
honored.
We're honored.
They're honored.
Honors
We're so
ours.
honored. So before we go, it's just a little housekeeping. We want to remind everybody to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at AIF Coalition. And come see us. We also have a wonderful show called Mangia Bene where we talk about food. And so please follow us and LinkedIn as well. Thanks, everybody, for joining us for another adventure of At the Table with Susan and Lucy.
Thank you, guys.
Till next
Appreciate it.
time.
Appreciate it, Congress members.
Thank you.